Good evening, folks, and welcome. My name is Josh, and tonight I am excited to bring you our Cuisine Corner event with Hungry Pants. Hungry Pants is a vegetarian curious restaurant in South Downtown Orlando. It is a fantastic place, whether you are a meat eater, vegetarian, vegan, a fantastic place to go check out some really awesome, freshly made and freshly sourced cuisine. And today I am joined by Joey and Alex, the owners of Hungry Pants. Oh, and I think we have someone else as well. So, hey guys, welcome.
Hey.
Hey guys.
Thank you so much for coming out. How you doing?
We're good. I just want to first also introduce our dog, Buddy. He's a nervous little boy, so he requires some special attention when we're home.
He'll be a part of the demo at some point.
Yes.
Absolutely. We are happy to have him join us as well, and happy to have you guys. So thank you so much for coming out. Did I miss anything about Hungry Pants? Did you want to share a little bit more information?
No, I mean, I think you've done a great job. I know that you're a customer, which is always really helpful. You know, we love the Orange County library system. We've always been big fans, and so we're super, grateful and honored to, share one of our favorite recipes with your audience and hopefully gain some new customers from it. But yeah, so Hungry Pants, we're in Soto, and the menu is really designed a lot of based on how Alex and I actually eat, which, we try our best to be plant-based, but, we are human. And every now and then we find ourselves in a situation like at a social event or a party, well, not recently anyhow, but in the past where, it's hard to eat that way. Maybe the only thing to eat is shrimp cocktail or, a cheese plate. And then we're also human. So every now and then we have cravings and we find ourselves in a situation wanting a cheese pizza. But I think, with that being said, 80% of the time we're being plant-based. And so that's why we created the menu, because the more and more we spoke to people, especially in our neighborhood and our friend circle here, people really enjoy eating clean, eating healthy, but they also occasionally want to expand what that means. And so for us, it means plant-based. For some people, it means organic. For other people, it means grass-fed proteins, eating wild-caught things. So I think we all have a different definition of what eating clean means, and we wanted our menu to incorporate as much of that as possible.
Yeah, fantastic. And I know, like you guys mentioned, I am a customer. I love I've had quite a few of the options there, and it's always a great time, and it makes you it makes you feel a little bit good, and just trying out something that's a little bit more just better for the environment and better for people in general, and yourself. So thank you guys so much for coming out. I'm going to say one more thing to everyone who's watching. If you have any comments at all, please leave those in the chat. If you have any questions or anything for Joey and Alex, we will get to those towards the end of the event after the demo. And if you have any issues with the stream, I will be watching throughout the entire time. So thank you guys so much again, and I will leave you to it. If you have anything, just let me know.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So we're going to be walking you guys through one of our favorite recipes that we serve at the restaurant. It's called Muhammara, and it's really a roasted pepper and walnut-based spread. It's a great option when you're entertaining. It's like a hummus. Think about it like a hummus. You can do it with a crudité, like a vegetable plate. You can do it with breads. Joey and I oftentimes will do it on sourdough, maybe with an egg on top if we want to treat ourselves on the weekends. Just a really nice thing. And some of our friends actually use it in their couscous salads. One of our friends, Carla, actually Facebook messaged me right before we went live, and she's like, "Oh my God, this is what I put on my couscous salad that I make." So it's really a great dish to have in your arsenal of recipes. And we can't wait to show you. So first things first, Joey, I'm thinking maybe we should just kind of show them all the ingredients, what goes into it. We have it all portioned out already so that we can make this pretty painless for everybody at home. So there's a little bit of prep involved. First thing you're going to want to do, we have these roasted red peppers. So you are going to have to break down some peppers. You can buy them in a jar, though. You know, they have roasted red peppers at the grocery store, but we have some fresh red peppers that we roasted down already in the oven. We've got walnuts. I have some walnuts pre-roasted here that I already had on deck. And then I also have some additional walnuts that I just took out of the oven right before we went live with you guys. Roasting them off gives them a nice dry, brings out that nutty flavor, and really helps with the flavor profile of the Muhammara, and actually the color too. Gives you a nice deep red when you're going through and making the dip. This is actually a gluten-free panko here. Gluten-free panko, we choose to make it gluten-free just because it is something that we can offer to a wider variety of customers at the restaurant. There's definitely like a health consciousness and awareness there.
Yeah, with with gluten-free items on our menu, we found that when we can, we really do try to provide dairy-free, vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options. So rarely does it compromise the integrity of a dish to make it allergy-friendly. And so we really do try to incorporate those ingredients as much as possible and those allergy dietary restrictions as much as possible. Yeah.
All right. So spice-wise or flavor-wise, we've got salt. Obviously, salt goes into everything. This is already pre-measured out for us. We've got some red pepper flakes. That gives it a nice slight kick, nothing crazy. The major spice that you will taste in it is cumin. I'm sure a lot of you are probably familiar with cooking with cumin. Great flavor profile to add to any dish. Fresh garlic cloves, that's of course something that's super important. We like to use fresh rather than minced. And then this is kind of the secret sauce in Muhammara. And this is pomegranate molasses. And a lot of you probably aren't used to having this in your kitchen. It's very specifically kind of like a Middle Eastern, a lot of times Moroccan dishes use a lot of pomegranate molasses. It is a specialty item in the grocery store. You can also order it on Amazon. This is one that we obviously get through our distributor at the restaurant. But there's a bunch of different brands that you can order. I haven't found a grocery store that carries it in Orlando, so we always order it. Because we go through so much lemon juice in our restaurant, we stopped fresh squeezing the lemon for all of our sauces and spreads, and I actually buy fresh lemon juice now by the quart. So I'm a little bit spoiled, but there has to be at least one benefit to cooking that much.
This lemon juice that we buy is the best you can buy, and it was so funny to be there the day that we realized that we could not juice lemons anymore for the volume that we were doing. It was like there were so many juiced lemons all over the place, and it was sort of like, what are we doing? We need to scale up.
So and then finally, a food processor. You're going to need a food processor for to do this recipe, to complete this recipe. Just like a hummus, it all goes into the food processor. It's kind of a one and done process, which is really cool. So your prep wise, what you're going to start out with for this recipe, I'm going to go down some of the measurements for you with the ingredients that we just went over. This way you can write those down, and then we'll go from there. So as far as the garlic, it's going to be 3 cloves of garlic. Lemon juice, we're going to do 2 tablespoons. Cumin, 3 teaspoons. Salt, 3 teaspoons. Pomegranate molasses, 2 tablespoons. Chili flakes, 1.5 teaspoons. You can always add more if you like a little bit more heat. Panko, the gluten-free panko, we do about 3/4 of a cup of gluten-free panko. Walnuts, we're going to do about 2 1/4 cups of the roasted walnuts. Olive oil, we do approximately 3/4 of a cup of the olive oil. And then water, we typically add about 2 to 2.5 cups of water. A lot of times with hummus or something like a Muhammara, it's going to really be all about what texture you're kind of going for. You want it a little bit wet. If you're going to be serving it right away, you don't have to have as much liquid in that recipe. If it's going to sit for a while and you're going to make it for a party later, you're going to add a little bit more water and have it be a little bit wetter of the consistency, because it starts to dry up a little bit as it sits in the refrigerator. So just a few little tips. So here we go. So first things first, we're going to obviously take our time and roast off some red peppers. These red peppers specifically, my method for breaking those down: cut them in half or in quarters, depending on the size of the red pepper. Place them face down on a cookie sheet, a little bit of oil. This is about 8 to 10 peppers for this recipe. Because I work in a restaurant, I use a scale. So if you want an exact measure, this is 18 ounces of roasted red pepper. Obviously, you're going to weigh them. If you're going to weigh them, you're going to weigh them after they've been roasted rather than before they've been roasted. This is about 8 to 10 red bell peppers. And you can always add or subtract. That's the fun part about cooking. It doesn't have to be exact. So we're going to go ahead and add this to our food processor. It's pretty simple. Once you roast it, you roast the red peppers. You can see the color that I roast it to, a little bit of black on the edge, nothing too crazy. I have forgotten the red peppers before a little bit longer. And it just, all it really does is deepen the color, and it changes the flavor a little bit if you have a slightly more roasted red pepper. But this is kind of what I like, the perfect consistency. It keeps it sweet, keeps the sweetness of the pepper, and really it's just the way I like it. So, so then we're going to go through and we're going to add our walnuts. Our walnuts, it's, like I said, it's about 2.25 cups of walnuts. These walnuts have been pre-roasted. I dry roast them on a cookie sheet, no oil or anything like that, no salt. You can buy nuts raw. They're usually a little bit cheaper when you're buying them raw. There are some recipes that we use, depending on what you're doing. Sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of extra salt on a nut that's going into a recipe. Sometimes it's better to have it raw and dry roasted. Just depends on kind of what you're going for in the ultimate dish, how much salt or flavor you need to get from it. So these walnuts, this is about a cup, and then I got to go through and measure out another 1.25 cups from my roasted walnuts here. I'm going to use my hands.
I don't know if you've realized, but you have another guest behind you.
I do. Who's joining us today? Oh, baby Kitty's with us today. This is our little rescue cat. Yeah, we have 4 little boys that live with us here at the house, and they're always interested in everything we're doing here,
especially involving food.
Yeah, anything food related, they're in. They count in. So, all right. So that's 2.5 cups of roasted walnuts into the food processor. After that, we're going to do 3 cloves of garlic. We're going to do the 3 teaspoons of cumin. We're going to go ahead and add our 1.5 teaspoons of chili flakes. Again, if it's always good, start with the 1.5 teaspoons. If you like things a little bit spicier, you can always go through, have a little taste, see if you want to add some spice, some heat, some liquid, some salt, some more cumin. It's really kind of all up to you. And then our salt. The salt, we're going to do 3 teaspoons for this specific recipe. Now, I am making the Muhammara kind of in a larger portion. You could probably shrink this down to 1/3 of the measurements that I gave you, and that would be fine. Joey and I like to make the Muhammara spread in a larger portion because we like to have it for a few days. Like I said, you can use it for a couple different dishes. So if we're going to entertain, maybe we're going to take the time and make it for our friends when they come over, and then we're going to have it the next day for breakfast, and we're going to add it to the toast. So just kind of planning ahead. You can also freeze it. It freezes really well if you wanted. I'm actually, that's all an assumption. I'm assuming it freezes really well. We never freeze it, but it never lasts that long.
It's like pesto. It would freeze like pesto.
Yeah, I think so. I assume so. So, all right, and this is 3/4 cup. I already measured this out of the gluten-free panko. Panko, for those of you that aren't aware, I'm sure most of you have heard of panko, but for those of you that aren't aware, panko is really, it's a breadcrumb, right? But it's kind of an Asian breadcrumb, and it's got a little bit of air in it. It's almost like a puffed rice feeling. So this specific panko doesn't have any additional flavoring in it. We're using the panko more for consistency and structure in the spread more rather than a flavor additive. So, all right. That's all of our kind of solid or dry ingredients in the recipe. I'm going to go through, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Ooh, the lemon juice is great. Most recipes are going to need a little bit of acid in them. I'm sure we've all, those are kind of the buzzwords right now. Salt, heat, acid, whatever. So the acidity, we use a lot of lemon juice, lime juice in our recipes. Like I said, to a point where it got excessive, where we were literally going through cases and cases of lemons. So here we are, bottled lemon juice, but it's all super fresh.
When life gives you lemons, stop buying them and buy a big bottle of lemon juice.
And our molasses, our pomegranate molasses, is going to be 2 tablespoons of the pomegranate molasses. This stuff is really, really thick. Can you get a close-up of this?
Hold on, yes.
Yeah. Molasses, I'm not someone that actually cooks with a lot of molasses. I didn't grow up cooking with a lot of molasses, but this pomegranate molasses is really, really interesting. You get that tangy pomegranate flavor in the molasses. You really can taste it and feel it. It adds a lot of layers to the flavor.
Yeah, a lot of people at the restaurant, when I'm describing this, they hear, oh, red pepper, and so the assumption is that it tastes like red pepper hummus. But it is, Alex's point, there's a lot of different layers in the Muhammara than you would get in just a roasted red pepper hummus because of all these things that he's adding. So it's definitely a little bit more dynamic, more of a wower than hummus. No diss on hummus.
All right.
Love a good hummus.
And then the next thing we're going to do, we're going to need about 2 cups of water. So, there goes BK.
BK does not have a tail.
I'm going to grab some water. So this is probably affects the taste, but I'm using Orlando's finest water, straight from the tap. We don't have any sort of filter. For those of you that are water sensitive, definitely use filtered water. I'm sure there's going to be something that you might lose a little bit of that flavor that we add to our Muhammara. All right, so and like a dope, I'm using a plate here. I brought this beautiful food processor from the restaurant because ours at home isn't really very good, and I forgot the insert. So the plate will help not make it splatter. I'm going to go ahead and start pulsing the Muhammara. This is going to be pretty loud, so close your ears.
Or mute us.
Or mute us. So this is without any sort of water in the recipe right now. You can kind of see all the elements going on in there. We're going to go ahead and add 2 cups of water, and then we'll see where we are from there. Like I said, so water is something that you can always add to a recipe, but you can never subtract it. So a lot of these spreads are really important. You want the correct consistency.
Oh my God, it smells so good.
Something like hummus, the way the chickpeas are prepared prior to making the hummus can impact how much water you need to add to a hummus recipe. Something like this, depending on how far you roast the red peppers, if you leave a lot of the water in the red pepper and you don't dry them out during that roasting process, you might not need to add as much water. So a little bit of cooking is not just wizardry or just following a step-by-step direction, but it's kind of leading with a little bit of an instinct, right? And kind of getting it to where you prefer. But other good BK.
When you open up the lemon juice, he really...
That's his thing. He's an acid guy. So with Muhammara, you can take it a few different ways. You can either go fully combined, so that and you break it down in the food processor until it's completely, you can't like decipher any pieces of the ingredients in there. This is an example of, if this is what your yield is at the end of it, keep going a little bit. You can still see the panko. You can still see some of the red pepper. So it's not fully incorporated. You want to get it to fully incorporated. I don't like to break it down to a liquid necessarily, so you don't want to over mix it. But this is kind of a good start to check and say, okay, I need to take it a little bit further. There you go. I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but that's where we like our Muhammara broken down to. There's still a little bit of chunk. There's still a little bit of elements of the ingredients. But for the most part, it's kind of incorporated. I think that's really nice to be able to see what's in your recipes, what's in the food. So it doesn't look overly processed. A lot of times you hear people talk about processed foods and how bad they are. This is what they're talking about, over processing food. You want your body to be able to break some of that down. It's healthy, it's important, and it's part of like the natural process of life. So not to go too deep, but that's what I think.
You always do.
So we're going to talk about how we can serve this, and I think this is always just some fun ideas. Joey and I are pretty avid entertainers. So, although pre-pandemic,
yeah, we were.
Pre-pandemic. Now we're kind of lonely, but at least we have a restaurant to entertain in, I guess, right?
Sort of.
So I'm gonna have. Let's see. I think we should do a couple things. I think we're going to start by. I brought these flatbreads. These are kind of gyro flatbreads that you would get. I mean, you can get them at any store in your deli. They're prepackaged. I have a nonstick fry pan on, and I'm going to go through and just put a little bit of oil in. You know what? I don't think I added the oil to the Muhammara. Did I?
No.
See? That's what happens.
Does it need it?
Yeah, 3/4 cup of oil.
And you have that cool little oil thing.
It's going to take me forever. I should have put it right out of the bottle.
This is why on cooking shows they pre-portion everything.
I know. I should have had the oil out. Oopsie.
Doesn't look like it needs it.
Yeah, it needs a little bit. And so this is 100% olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. It's really all we cook in the restaurant. It's obviously better at home. We use other oils, but for the restaurant specifically, we only use 100% olive oil. It's just a cleaner oil. It's what we use on the grills. It's what we use in our sauces, and it's a super important ingredient. That's better. See, take a look now. The color's a little bit lighter now. I don't know that you can see it through the camera, but that's the right color.
This is a true story. When we used to own a cupcake truck called the Yum Yum Truck in
Orlando.
In Orlando, yes. And the Food Network came and did a segment on the food truck, and they had us, bake cupcakes, and we went to bake, for the cameras, and the cupcakes exploded in the oven, and it turns out that we forgot to put flour in the cupcake. We were so nervous because we were being filmed that we forgot a very important ingredient when you're baking. Flour. So almost as important as olive oil. Not that we're nervous.
Go ahead. Do you want to watch this for a second? I'm going to go grab something in the other room.
This is what a pita looks like when you cook it in a pan at home. It's so funny, to cook at home because we do so much on the flat top and then the grill on these commercial grade appliances, and so when we cook at home, it's almost like we don't know how anymore. And you're used to having a whole walk-in refrigerator filled with fresh produce and every seasoning you can imagine, and at home that's not the case.
Yeah, it's probably not as fun. So I'm just plating something. This is, for example, how we might serve this at home. This is definitely how we have served it at home. And any friends that are watching, this will look familiar.
Yeah. Ooh. We've already eaten dinner, but I think I'll be eating some Muhammara and pita around 8:30.
So the truth of the matter is a lot of these pita breads are pre-oiled and pre-cooked. But I always think it's fun to add a little bit more oil.
It's pretty.
Yeah. It adds some shine to it. Really brings out all the colors. Really simple. Just one a little bit less cooked. So I'm going to go ahead and get a spoon and put my Muhammara. So you can see how the consistency I whipped it to. That's important. Like I said, if you let this sit, what's going to happen is the panko is going to continue to absorb the moisture, and eventually it's going to start to tighten up the spread. And
that's perfect.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. So, all right. So
I'm a visual eater. I know when something does not look right and when it looks perfect.
All right, this is for another on how to prepare it. All right, so Joey and I typically will go through, and we're operating in a really small part of our kitchen right now, just for the simple purpose of filming for you guys. So we always make sure that we kind of look out for everybody's dietary restrictions when they come over to the house. There's a lot of people out there that won't eat bread, right? It's something that, they're looking to watch the weight, trim a few pounds. Maybe they're gluten intolerant and they need to kind of steer away from it. So even though we like our Muhammara with some toast points like this, it may not fit for everybody else. So another option might be cucumbers. So we use these European cucumbers. You see them at Publix. They're longer, a little thinner.
They call it an English cucumber?
It's an English cucumber, European cucumber. Yeah, however you want to call it. We're going to go through and slice this on the bias. That's a bias cut, right?
Well, I don't know your bias.
That was smooth. All right. If you just take your time, depending on what your knife skills are.
And what kind of knife you have.
Make sure it's sharp.
Do not use a butter knife.
Do not use a butter knife. All smart tips, Joe.
All things I've learned the hard way.
Yeah, literally. So maybe this would be a good... why don't you follow me over to this little table here, and we're going to go through. There you go. So that's one way to serve Muhammara.
Oh my.
Oh, he's eating it. So the other way, like I said, is just on toast. And we also have served this at the restaurant. So this is a piece of sourdough. This is not a vegan sourdough that we serve at the restaurant. This is one from our local grocer here in College Park, but that's okay. And I like a nice thick cut toast. I'm going to go through and do the same thing. I would typically put it in the oven and toast it that way, but I'm going to go ahead and put it on my frying pan and just let that kind of toast over.
At the restaurant, we like to use. We are not 100% locally sourced, but we do try to cook with the seasons and order locally made products when possible and when it makes sense. One of the easiest things you can do is order from a local bakery, and so I know a lot of Orlandoans know Old Hearth Bakery. They have a shop at East End Market and do wholesale all over town, and so we like Old Hearth has a really great selection of vegan breads, and so we're able to offer dairy-free vegan bread on everything, which is really great.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. We were explaining before we went to go film that even our burger, our beef burger at the restaurant is served with a vegan sauce and on vegan bread. But what's the difference? Honestly, what's the difference? The rolls are beautiful, and they're artisanal, and they're from Old Hearth Bakery. We love that. The sauces we make in house, you still get the same impact. So why add the dairy? All right.
And so, like I said, although the menu is not 100% seasonal, we do have about a quarter of it that rotates with the season. So, which is great because you can come in and always get something that you expect to get, like our CLT sandwich or our veggie burger or grass-fed burger. But then you can go ahead and add on our seasonal soup or our seasonal toast, even our seasonal dessert. And so you're getting some of that seasonal fare, with stuff that you're used to and you can always depend on getting. And then, a lot of our produce, a lot of our vegan proteins like tofu and whatnot are organic. Again, not 100% organic. And just like the menu, we don't do anything necessarily 100%. Like it's everything's in balance. So it's really how it's designed how real people eat and how real people consume, which is always a little 20% for, I guess, margin of error.
And honestly, that's the best way to eat Muhammara, on a nice thick cut piece of sourdough bread.
You slice it in two?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You want to eat it? There you go, Joe.
Beautiful.
It's all for you. This is something that we do rotationally. We'll probably bring back the Muhammara toast as we head towards the summer. Right now, we have this beautiful vegan butternut squash seasonal toast that we're serving with some shiitake bacon and arugula at the restaurant. So I would love for you guys to try this recipe. We can go through and obviously share any of the details with the Orange County Library System. So. And most importantly, come to the restaurant.
Yeah, so it's by all means, please make the recipe. It's a lot of fun, especially for those of you who, have been spending a lot more time at home and doing more cooking, and it really is something to explore with. But if you are comfortable getting takeout and coming out to eat, it's a lot easier if you just order it from us. And we also, it's kind of a menu hack. Alex alluded to it earlier. You really can add this to just about anything on the menu. So if you come in and get our veggie burger, we put cilantro aioli on the veggie burger, but sub out the Muhammara, you will not be disappointed.
Or add it with it.
That's true. What I do. That's true. Yeah, we can do that. And throw a fried egg on there too. So that really concludes the recipe and how we would serve the dish at home or in the restaurant. And so if anyone has any questions, we're happy to answer them now. Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Thank you so much. That was delightful. I am going. I'm definitely going to be making that. And actually, I might just come down. I have a free lunch break tomorrow, so it might be a good time to come check it out. So we had a couple questions throughout the whole thing. A lot of folks were just loved the presentation. Heather was talking about she loved all the colors that you were adding to everything, and cumin is all she needs in anything. So big fan there. Crystal is commenting on she wants to learn how to cook the squash that's in your Buddha bowl. That's so that's, she's definitely a fan. We had her commenting a few times. But Abby wants to know, do you need an industrial food processor to make this? You mentioned that you brought yours from the restaurant.
It's really not industrial. It's just a larger one. We have a really small one at home, and I would have made a smaller portion with that. So it all depends on how much Abby wants to make and eat. This is a nice portion. This is going to give us probably about 2 quarts to 2 quarts of bread. For those of you that aren't in culinary or cooking, that'll give you a few different portions based on how you're actually using it. So you can definitely shrink the recipe down. You can scale it down to 1/3 of this, like I said, and that'll give you a few different portions.
Excellent. We've got an I love you from Hanley and Jackson. Uncle Alex and Joey wanted to say hey.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of people loving the animals as well.
We love them too.
They are all for sale. No, I'm kidding.
So we had someone asking about where can we get pomegranate molasses, and what if you don't have it? Is there anything that you can use to replace it?
Honestly, it's really irreplaceable. So it's got such a really specific flavor profile, pomegranate molasses, but I think most people on here have Amazon or have at least heard of it. So you can definitely order pomegranate molasses on Amazon. I haven't found it in any grocers in Orlando, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. I've only looked so hard.
It's so funny when sometimes people talk about a secret ingredient in things, in a dish, and it's not hogwash, it's real. And the pomegranate molasses in the Muhammara is the secret ingredient. And a lot of times without those secret ingredients, a dish is not the same.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's definitely a good shout then. So yeah, I maybe we can, if anyone knows any place you can find it in Orlando, please post that in the comments. We'd love to support local, but Amazon always an option, and it can get you there in hopefully about 2 days. So we've got another comment about a missed the amount of cumin and panko used. Do you have those measurements?
Yeah, I do. So the cumin, let me just make sure. The cumin's 3 teaspoons, and the panko was 3/4 of a cup.
Excellent, thank you. And just so you guys know, if you wanted to kind of get this video again, you can always just check out our YouTube page, the OCLS YouTube page, and watch the video over and just do a cook side by side. So that could be fun. We've got Marta said Lotte Market has pomegranate molasses. Yeah, they seem like they have a little bit of everything, so that could be.
Thanks, Marta. Hi, Marta.
Hello. We have someone asking for a weekly Hungry Pants presentation, so we'll get right on that. You guys have nothing else going on, right?
No, that's fine.
Excellent. And then one more question, I think. You guys mentioned you could keep it in the fridge. You guys don't keep it very long, but how is the longest you've kept it?
Honestly, it could probably at least probably a week. I mean, it depends on how well you're packaging it. So if you have an airtight container, food is all about just keeping it away from oxygen. So if you have an airtight container and it's temperature controlled, it can last pretty long. But you can freeze it.
When we closed the restaurant during quarantine, we brought it home, and we definitely ate it a week later, and it was great. But if you make this, chances are you will eat it quickly.
Yeah, that I know I will be. It looks amazing, and looks like you can put it on pretty much anything. I think I would just be throwing that on sandwiches. I'd be throwing it on toast in the morning. You guys mentioned a couscous salad earlier.
Yeah. One of our customers who's a friend now. She makes this awesome couscous salad, and she brought me in some, and she actually will oftentimes buy a little side of the Muhammara and put it with her couscous salad from home. So
yes, just if you missed that, it is acceptable to bring us food.
Yeah,
it will never not go uneaten. So.
Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, a food exchange program at Hungry Pants. You're all welcome to join. Yeah, we have a couple other places and for recommendations of the pomegranate molasses in the comments. If you're checking it out, if you want to make this recipe at home, check all those places out. There's a few places all over town, in different parts of town rather, that do have it. So you can definitely look there. But yeah, I wanted to thank you guys one more time, Joey and Alex. That was fantastic. Everyone, definitely check out Hungry Pants. It's just right down Orange Avenue in Soto. So so definitely check it out. It's great, and you can try a lot of great options there. You guys mentioned the CLT earlier. That's my favorite sandwich. I've come in for that quite a few times. So yeah, thank you guys so much for presenting tonight.
Well, thanks for having us. This was really a lot of fun.
And thank you all for listening in. It's so fun to do this virtually. And we would love to do it again. I don't know about weekly, though.
Absolutely. Well, I think we will see you guys around. If you guys are able to, everyone in the audience, if you could go to ocls.info/survey and please fill out one of our surveys for the adult programs. Tell them how much you loved Hungry Pants, and we'll try to bring them back. And how jealous we are because we want to have this in person so we can be eating that bread now. That would be outstanding. I'll post that link for the survey in the comments. But thank you guys all so much for watching. Thank you, Hungry Pants, for joining us. And,
be safe, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you all next time. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to be the first to find out when we have new fun and informative videos for you. Orange County Library System is your place to learn, grow, connect.